In this lesson, we are going to create a civil 3D surface. So click on Tool Space, and in the Prospector tab, click on Surfaces. Right-click, click Create Surface. I want a surface type to be Thin Surface, so I'm not going to change that. And in the name field, type FG for Finished Ground and click OK. If you expand surfaces in your tool space now, you can see you have a surface called FG. So I'm going to click on one of the feature lines, right click and click Select Similar. Now down here I can see one of these feature lines isn't selected, so I'm going to click on that one and click Select Similar again, and all of my feature lines are selected. So I'm going to right click a third time and click on Add to Surface as Break Line. So I want to add these feature lines to the surface, to my FG surface, so click OK. If you want, you can type a description. I usually leave it blank, and the break lines should be of type standard. So click OK. So you can see I've added my feature lines to the surface as break lines, and a surface has been generated. So click on this surface, right click, click Edit Surface Style, and in the Display tab you can see that you can display whatever you want in here. You can have elevation, slopes. For now I'm just showing major and minor contours and a border, but I'm going to click on this light bulb here and make the border invisible. So click OK, and notice how the border disappears. So click on my surface again, click on that contour, right click, click Surface Properties, and you'll notice that the surface style is set to 2 meter and 10 meter contours. The 2 meter and 10 meter contours simply refers to the major and minor contours, which can be displayed differently, and that's done through the Edit Surface Style that we just looked at. But I'm going to click this down arrow and click Copy Current Selection, and in the Information tab I want to change the name. I want the contours to display every 0.1 meters, but I'm going to name my surface contours 0.1 and 0.2 meters. Remember, the 0.1 contour is the minor contour and the 0.2 is the major contour. You could make it 0.1 and 1 meter, whatever you like. That simply means that you can come over here and display the major and minor contours differently. For example, I could change this one to red. But for now, I'm going to leave them the way they are, and I've changed my name to contour 0.1 meter and 0.2 meters, so click OK. My surface style is set to 0.1 and 0.2 meters, so click OK. So notice that my surface didn't change. So click on the surface, right click, and click Surface Properties. So I have changed the surface style by copying it, but what I need to do now is click on the surface again. This time I'm going to right click and click not Surface Properties, click Edit Surface Style. So we've created this new surface style, but we haven't changed the contour interval. So in the Contours tab here, click on the Contours tab, come down to Contour Intervals, and change the minor interval to be 0.1 and the major interval to be 0.2, and come back to the Information tab, and you can change the description if you wish. I'm just going to delete it and click OK. So notice now we have contours displaying at 0.1 meter intervals. So I'm going to draw a boundary around my surface now, because if you click on the surface and right click and click display order, send to back, notice how from here the contours are interpolating between this point and this point. We don't really have elevation information out here, so you can see the contours are interpolating. Same down here, the contours are interpolating across. But if I type PL at the command line to get into the polyline command, so type PL, I'm going to turn off my OSNAP, and I'm going to draw a rough boundary, an approximate boundary outside all of my feature lines, just by going around like that. Doesn't have to be exact. Make sure you're outside the feature lines. Going to come down to this corner, maybe come across to here. And I'm going to type C to close that polyline. So I'm going to, in the Prospector tab, under Tool Space, I'm going to expand surfaces, expand my FG surface, expand definition, and click on boundaries. Now I'm going to right click and click add. I want to add an outer boundary. If you want, give it a name, but I'm going to leave that field blank. And I want a destructive boundary. So I'm going to uncheck that non-destructive break line checkbox and click OK. Now at the command line you can see we're being prompted to select object. The object is my boundary, so I've added that boundary to my surface, and I'm going to come back to my surfaces. Now right click and notice how we have this rebuild and rebuild automatic. I'm going to click rebuild. You can leave it on rebuild automatic. That is sometimes slow because every change you make to a feature line, your whole surface will start rebuilding. So you don't want to do that every time if you're going through a drawing and changing feature line elevations. So every now and then, remember, you have to come back and rebuild your surface. So I'm just going to rebuild it just to make sure all the changes are showing. So download the AutoCAD file for this lesson, create a surface for yourself, add your feature lines to the surface, and then create a boundary and start playing around with the rebuild and rebuild automatic functions. You can also, if you wish, try editing the feature line elevations and see how your surface, if you leave it on rebuild automatic, you'll notice how your surface will update as you make the changes.